Welcome back, dear viewers, and you are still watching Cairo Local Time. And to shed more light on the solar alignment, which occurs twice a year at the Great Temple of Abu Simbel, we are joined over the phone by Mr. Amr Atef. He is the tour guide. Good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon, Mr. Amr. Yes. So, as I said earlier, that the sun has illuminated the face of King Ramses II in Abu Simbel Temple in the Upper Egyptian city of Aswan in the early hours of Thursday. This rare phenomena takes place twice a year and lasts for 20 minutes, and it has drawn around 500 tourists and Egyptian visitors. For most of the year, the inner sanctum of the main temple at Abu Simbel is shrouded in darkness. The phenomenon started at 5:55 a.m. Cairo local time and continued for nearly 20 minutes. And now we are joined by Mr. Amr Atef. He is a tour guide and he will talk to us more about this important phenomenon. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
So first, before talking about this interesting phenomenon, let's talk about King Ramses II, the great builder of Abu Simbel.
Well, King Ramses II is one of the great pharaohs of Egypt, of course, if not the greatest pharaoh that we have in Egypt. He ruled for almost 60 years and died at the age of 94, and he built lots of temples all over the country. So we can talk about him as a great builder. And one of the temples he built was the temple of Abu Simbel, of course.
So, Mr. Amr, what can you tell us about the phenomena of solar alignment, which takes place twice a year? And what does it tell us about the greatness of Egyptian pharaohs?
The innermost room, which is 60 meters deep,
yes,
of the temple of Abu Simbel, remains in the darkness throughout the year, except for 2 days only, in which it sees a natural stream of sunlight. The 22nd of October and the 22nd of February, which is the day of the coronation of Ramses II on the throne of Egypt, and his birthday. When we talk about this only happens in Egypt. But before that, we should talk about Abu Simbel as a great temple. They say about Abu Simbel that if the people who listed the ancient wonders of Abu Simbel have seen Abu Simbel, it should have been listed in as one of the ancient wonders of the world. The temple, this phenomenon only happens here. And as you mentioned, at almost 6 o'clock in the morning, or at 5:55, the sun rises on the face of Ramses II in the Holy of Holies. People from all over the world come to visit Egypt and to see this phenomena only twice a year. They gather outside the temple, and then the quiet turns into shutter when the sun rises, and they start to walk inside the walls of the temple to see the sunrise. After that, they go outside the temple and stay in the open court outside the temple, and then the ceremony begins. You know, dancing, the folkloric dancing, the Egyptian folkloric dancing, the Egyptian food, and ceremony lasts for almost like a couple of hours, which only again happens here in Egypt. This tells us how the ancient Egyptians were great. Imagine, in 1234 BC, they were building a temple and adjusting it so that the sun would rise on the face of the king who built the temple only twice a year, his birthday and the day when he took office.
So, sir, can you tell us more about the history of this temple and its historical importance, of course?
Of course. I mean, the temple of Abu Simbel was built to commemorate the victory of Ramses II, of King Ramses II, over the Hittites. It's a battle that was named as the Battle of Kadesh. and the temple was built in 1264 BC. It took them 20 years to build the temple of Abu Simbel, and the victory, of course, of the Battle of Qadesh was commemorated on the walls of the temple. So when you walk inside the temple, you see the scenes of the Battle of Qadesh. You see the Egyptian army overcoming the Hittites, and you see the celebration of the victory of King Ramses II on the walls of the temple. The temple itself was built also in a sacred area for the ancient Egyptians. Ramses II believed that this area where the temple was built was a sacred area for goddess Hathor. One of the reasons he chose the site for building the temple, and also to spread the cult of Amun-Ra in the southern part of Egypt, and also to have a landmark to prove that Egypt was ruling until the further southern territories of the Nubian lands, which was part of Egypt in the ancient Egyptian time. Well, Nubia was important because, of course, it was a source of gold for the ancient Egyptians. They also say that Nefertari, the beloved wife of Ramses II, was originally from Nubia, and that's one of the reasons he chose this area for building the temple, and also he built for his wife Nefertari a smaller temple next to his.
So, sir, how can we promote for this important phenomenon and make it more attractive to tourists?
Well, Egypt is promoting itself. I mean, people study about Egypt in school all over the world. I've been guiding for the last 25, 26 years, and everybody who comes to Egypt tell me we've been studying about Egypt at school, so everybody knows about Egypt. So they know about the sites, they know about the monuments, and we just need to focus on the ceremony, maybe days before the ceremony takes place. We need to draw more focus on the ceremony and what happens, and this will attract the eyes of the travelers all over the world to be willing to come. But this should happen before the ceremony by enough time, so that we give a chance to the people who would think of coming and attending the ceremony. They would have time to come and visit Egypt and attend the ceremony.
So, sir, can you tell us more about the restoration and relocation of Abu Simbel temples that took place in 1968?
Well, the relocation took place in 1968 under the supervision of a Polish archaeologist from the Polish Center of Mediterranean Archaeology, University of Warsaw. And 50 countries from all over the world participated in the relocation and the restoration of the temple. They had to move it further from the water, from the river, by 200 meters, and higher, on a higher ground by 60 meters from the level of the water. And they cut the temple into pieces, 16,000 blocks. They cut it into 16,000 blocks, and relocated it under a concrete domed building that worked as if it's an artificial mountain. And when you walk inside the temple, you would not believe that this has been relocated. Building the temple was a miracle, and moving the temple was another miracle in 1968. And they finished the work of moving it in the 22nd of September, 1968. The cost of this work, which was under the banner of UNESCO, was $50 million. $50 million back then in 1968 was equal to almost 400 million US dollars by nowadays US dollars. You know?
Yes. So, sir, of course, apart from this important phenomenon, we can't ignore the excavations that are currently taking place in the necropolis of Saqqara area, and the importance of these excavations as we are expecting more discoveries in the coming days. So can you briefly tell us more about this?
Of course. I mean, they've been doing excavations. Egypt has been doing excavations,
Yes.
new excavations. Of course, the excavation in Saqqara is big and huge, and it's going to be maybe the most important discovery of 2020. And everybody is waiting to see more of what's going to be discovered in Saqqara, all those royal mummies. And it's amazing the colors and the details and the good shape the coffins and the sarcophagus are that they just discovered. But it's not only about Saqqara. Egypt has been doing almost one discovery or two per month for the last couple of years. I mean, more excavations than have ever happened in Egypt before. And this is a new way, I believe, that the Ministry of Antiquities and Tourism is doing to promote Egypt. This is the best way to promote Egypt.
Yes.
Travelers always want to come and see the new discoveries. When they see in the news, in the CNN, in the BBC, in this and that Egypt has been discovering something new, people want to come and see the new discovery. We receive emails from travelers. We receive comments on Facebook and social media. They all say one thing: we want to come back and see this new discoveries that has been happening in Egypt. So I think this new discoveries that's going on is the best way to promote Egypt worldwide.
So, sir, we can't also miss talking about the Grand Egyptian Museum and to what extent it will help in promoting for cultural tourism in Egypt.
The gem,
the Grand Egyptian
Museum,
yes,
is considered, as Dr. Khaled Al-Anani, His Excellency Dr. Khaled Al-Anani, the Minister of Antiquities and Tourism, said it's the fourth pyramid of Egypt. I mean, it's a huge building, and it's going to be the largest building that accommodates artifacts, Egyptian artifacts, all over the world. If you go in the museum, you'll be amazed. You'll be amazed with the construction that's going on. People are working day and night. You won't believe. They work from the crack of dawn in the morning until the sunset, and then they work again at night to continue and finish this grand museum. The way they display the artifacts in the museum is going to be a kingship museum. And the way the artifacts are displayed will be amazing. It will be, you go inside the rooms and you see the pieces of King Tutankhamun, for instance. If we can talk about King Tutankhamun, the collection of King Tutankhamun that will be moved from the Tahrir Museum to the Grand Museum, and more than 3,500 pieces will be on display. Also, statues of kings and queens from the Old, Middle, and New Kingdom will be on display. The background of the rooms will be the pyramids. They will connect the area of the Grand Museum. It will be connected to the Great Pyramids of Giza. So the traveler would come and visit the Grand Museum and also visit the Giza Pyramid. So it will be like a full-day tour of the site. I think the Grand Egyptian Museum will attract travelers, and people are already willing to come. You know what? People are just waiting for a vaccine for the COVID or for airports, abroad to be opened, and then they will be coming to Egypt to just see the Grand Museum, I'm sure.
So, sir, how do you evaluate the government's, the way the government dealt with the coronavirus pandemic, and to what extent it helps in reviving tourism sector again?
The Egyptian government has been taking very good precautions with the coronavirus. And as you know, the Secretary General of the World Tourism Organization was in Egypt about a month ago. And he said that he is impressed with all the precautions that Egypt has been taking with the coronavirus pandemic. And also, you can see that the coronavirus has been, the numbers have been decreasing in Egypt. And if you compare it to other countries, I see people in the streets walking, I see people going to the restaurants, I see this and that. I don't think that the pandemic is affecting Egypt as much as it is affecting other countries. I've seen also a program on TV with one of the American channels. They're just surprised that Egypt has been able to take that much precautions with the coronavirus pandemic. So I think this will play a big role in the rapid coming back of travelers to Egypt, inshallah.
So, sir, if we talk about Egyptian museums in general, and to what extent the government is paying attention to renovating these museums and make it more attractive to tourists at this period?
Well, the Ministry of Antiquities and Tourism is working day and night. They are restoring the museum in Tahrir Square, and they have been opening. And you know, after the year when the Muslim Brotherhood have been in Egypt for almost a year, there are some museums that have been things that has been looted and some sculptures that has been destroyed. And the Ministry of Antiquities and Tourism actually managed to bring back those pieces that were looted and managed to restore the museums back. One of them was the Museum of Elminia, for instance. It's amazing the job that has been done to restore and maintain the artifacts and the pieces of the museum in Elminia and Sohag and other places. So there will be more museums that will be opened, and that will attract more travelers for sure.
Also, if we talk about the old Islamic Cairo, and it is considered now an open museum, so how do you see this?
Old Islamic Cairo, of course, is a highlight. Yes. in all the programs and the visits. And Al Mu'izz Street in particular. The good thing about it is people can come and visit Al Mu'izz Street and enjoy the Islamic artifacts and the Islamic monuments that are in Al Mu'izz Street even at night, when it's lit at night. So they can visit the tour, do their tour of the museum and the pyramids in the morning, and in the afternoon and at night, they walk through Al Mu'izz Street. So this is, of course, a very good tourist attraction. They have Mamluk-style mosques and also Fatimid mosques and Ikhshid mosques. So they have mosques and sabils and from different Islamic eras that were here in Egypt. And the feedback we get is always very positive with the Islamic artifacts that we have here.
So, sir,
and we cannot also forget the Islamic Museum.
Yes, of course.
The Islamic Museum, of course, we can't forget. And, of course, the government has been doing a great job restoring and maintaining, and it's already reopened for the visitors. So that's one of the highlights that the feedback we get from the travelers is always very positive, of course.
So, sir, if we talk back about the GEM or the Grand Egyptian Museum, and can you shed light on the important artifacts that will be displayed in this museum?
The GEM, of course, as I told you, it's going to be the fourth pyramid of Egypt.
Yes.
And it will be very impressive. As I was telling you, it's going to be a kingship museum. So one of the, of course, most impressive artifacts is King Tutankhamun's collection. And the thing about King Tutankhamun, of course, as you know, is that his tomb was found intact ever since they buried him in 1350 BC till they found his tomb in 1922. So they will be displaying the pieces, the artifacts of King Tutankhamun collection. You know, the mask of King Tutankhamun weighing 11 kilograms of solid gold will be in the gym. It's amazing. Of course, the coffin, 110 kilograms of solid gold, will be also in the gym. Statues, rings and earrings and bracelets and gold coffins, sarcophagus. All the collections of the kings and queens will be displayed in the gym. And it's not only about the display, but it's how it's displayed. It's the way it's displayed, and museology will play a big role in this, of course, and I'm sure that it will be a lifetime visit, the GEM visit or the GEM tour.
So, sir, finally, before wrapping up this interesting interview, can you shed light on the challenges that still face the tourism sector, and should we work on diversifying the tourism, to diversify the kind of tourists that come to Egypt?
Well, challenges that faces Egypt was taking very good and sure steps with tourism. And if it was not for the coronavirus, we would have went back to the numbers of travelers that used to come to Egypt before the so-called 25th of Jan revolution. So we were going to reach the 14 million travelers by 2020, a year I'm talking. The coronavirus is one of the big challenges that Egypt is facing, unfortunately. And once the coronavirus ends, I think travelers would be coming back to Egypt day and night. As I told you, we are in contact with the travelers, with the travel agencies in the U.S. and in Europe and here and there, and they all want to come. They all want to come, and they're now starting to ask questions. They know now that the sites are opened, and this is a very good move. They know that the archaeological sites, which is a clear message that Egypt is safe to come to and to travel to. So they know that the sites are open. They want to come. They can't wait. They're just waiting for either their airports to be opened or for the vaccine to be discovered. But as people who want to come, everybody wants to come to Egypt.
So finally, I'd like to thank you, Mr. Amr Atef, tour guide. Thank you for being with us and the viewers. By that, we come to the end of today's edition of Cairo Local Time. I'm Shina Adel. Thank you for watching.